I was here first in 75. So it was the third one, and then we started covering the race in 77, and on we went.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. The first year I was here in 75, I wasn't a runner. A friend of mine said, there's this big race down on Cape Cod, we got to go. We get down there. On the ball field afterwards, I tripped over someone, it was so crowded. I turned around to say, excuse me. It was a woman I had grown up with in St. Louis, Missouri, that I hadn't seen in 10 or 15 years. Turns out we drove back to St. Louis to visit our parents like a week later. But anyway, that's what Falmouth is, just like a reunion, and we see it out there today. It's amazing that, like Scott, you're saying 50 years. We want to begin by bringing up some of the athletes who have been a part of Falmouth and who will soon be a part of Falmouth as well. I begin with a guy in many ways who inspired the event, Frank Shorter, the Olympic gold medalist in 1972. Frank, come on up. Tommy Leonard was at the Brothers Four. Tommy was at the Brothers Four watching Frank in Munich in September of '72. And Tommy was a many-time Boston Marathon finisher and was so enthralled watching Frank that he said, I want to do something for the Falmouth Girls Track Club. And they went out and started the race with 92 people on a rain-swept day in 1973. 2 years later, Billy Crowley from the Oran Anchor brought Frank along, and the rest is history. So Frank, so many memories, not just from the road race, but you have such a Falmouth history, and now you're a citizen of Falmouth since last September with your wife, Michelle. So the stories can go on for weeks with Frank alone.
Right here. Come on, Michelle, stand up, please. It's my wife, Michelle. Love of my life.
Well, it's been what a great history, Frank. And of course, we miss Tommy greatly, but what stands out among all the things which stand out for Falmouth for you?
Well, it was the fact that Tommy was one of those people that could get other people to do things for him. Some people have that talent, that they just exude trust. You know, he wasn't an ambitious person. He was a person with his own goals. And he persistent isn't the word to describe him, and yet it was never overbearing. So what he did, his first job was to convince Bill, where are you, Bill? Bill to write me a letter to invite me to the race. And I think what it showed to me at that time, two things. One is we athletes at that time truly wanted to support each other, and we wanted to support events. And so I came down, and the other thing I immediately realized was, even though it was for economic reasons, the idea of being able to stay with local families. It's a tradition here that's like nowhere else, I think, in the world.
Very much New England road racing.
Yes, and so I just, and you have to give me a little aside here, the way things come to full circle. I'm a Yale guy. I stayed with a Harvard guy, you know, my first time down here, because that was it. It was, you put everything aside. And Bill, it showed, and you're going to bring him up too, we wanted to compete against each other. We didn't avoid each other. And so Bill said, fine, because Bill, I know, I think we both had a sense of we were there as much to support the growth of running in our sport as we were to try to win races. And so again, that's what impressed me about here, the people. And to bring it up again, full circle, I got a bunch of 7 Yale guys who are my age or just a little younger, you know, they're only in their 60s, who are gonna, babies who are gonna come and run the race. And we're gonna start a tradition there. And the other point is, I made friends here, staying here. It's a record, and my most favorite record in running is the fact that I got to stay with Jack and Wendy Carroll here 33 years in a row.
Wow.
Before I decided to
Give
move
them a break.
here. Yeah, and so we just felt so much a part of it. And Michelle had come here almost as many years as I had, and again brought families and just loved it, and decided we would go somewhere together to move forward into the rest of our lives together.
Family, that's the word. Bless your heart, Frank. Great to see you around. Let's bring up the man they talked about. Okay, sure. It was the duels between Frank Shorter, the Olympic gold medalist, and the up-and-coming star in New England. In 1973, Tuthill and Duba won the race, but in 74, Tommy got Steve LaCory, Marty's brother, to get Marty to come back from the European track circuit. He was the most famous miler along with Jim Ryan in the country. Marty thought he was coming in for a 7-mile fun run, and he met this young up-and-comer called Bill Rogers, who just waxed him, and it got big page in the Boston Globe and the Boston Herald. 2 years later, the next spring rather, Billy wins the Boston Marathon in an American record time, beating the mark that Frank had set in Fukuoka. And then those next 4 years, from 75 and 76, Frank won. 77 and 78, Bill won again. And those duels in those 4 years catapulted the running movement into the running boom years. And it was just electric. And it was those guys. So Wilha, Billy, you here? Bill Rogers? Well, again, just like with Frank, the memories just come flooding out. What stands out mostly for you about the Falmouth Road Race as we celebrate its 50th year?
It makes me feel a little old.
No kidding.
Actually, I have a million memories because I've run this race. I think this will be my 32nd year. And made a lot of friends here. And of course, meeting Frank. I just want to salute him for winning the gold medal that set off the running boom in America and kicked off the sport really in a global way. And I think the U.S. kind of led the way for that, with that race. And Tommy Leonard and Frank became great friends. He was the spirit of the Falmouth Road Race. We still feel it. I got my pin.
Yep.
I wear that race day. But I think we all have fun at this race. I think it's the most competitive sport in the world, maybe the most challenging sport in the world. And of course, Frank and I are a wee bit older, but we're going to keep going. I want to salute Lucia and John Carroll and Rich and Catherine Sherman for building the race for all the years.
40 years.
Yeah. And to salute the current team. What's that? I remember those days. They're like yesterday. I'm not totally zongo yet, but we still have fun. I'm very nervous for race day. I think that's the competition, and we're meant to move. But great to be here, of course.
Well, Wilhow, thanks so much.
Thank
Pleasure,
you, Tony.
and have a great time.
See you out there.
Have a great weekend. The great Bill Rogers. Let me bring up one of our present competitors. We have the wheelchair history here at Falmouth is also long and illustrious. I want to bring up Tatiana McFadden, 5-time champion on the women's side and the course record holder. Tatiana is just one of the GOAT. I mean, there's people chasing, but Tatiana is the GOAT. Boston and Chicago and London and New York, and she just won all the darn things in a row, 4 years in a row, just one of the all-time greats, but also really established yourself. 26:15, I think, the course record here at Falmouth. What stands out for you, Tatiana? Welcome, first of all.
Thank you, and thank you for the great introduction. It's so great to be back at Falmouth. There's two things that stand out for me in this race. One is my grandparents actually met here on the Cape. They were both working at the Coonamessett Inn, so we have a wonderful family history here. It's great to see them every single year that I come and do this race. And secondly, I really have to applaud Falmouth because as we're celebrating the 50th anniversary, 47 years ago, the wheelchair division started. Thank you to Bill Rogers, who asked the race director if Bob Hall could run. So we are here because of him, and it's such a great course. It's a fast course. It's a fun course. It's a challenging course, and I really enjoy the community here and the people cheering us out on race day.
That's great. What kind of shape are you in for this race?
Well, I sadly missed Boston this year due to an injury, so I started training about roughly 2 weeks ago, getting ready for the fall marathon.
Oh, that's plenty of time.
Plenty of time. But I expect to do pretty well and just work on things that I've been working on in my training sessions and really take that first downhill and go up the uphills as fast as I can and really enjoy the flats and keeping the acceleration going to get ready for that big climb and the finish that I really enjoy.
That's a brutal one. Well, best of luck to you, Tatiana.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks
very
so much. Let's bring up the man on the other side of that coin, Daniel Romanchuk, who is our course record holder on the men's side at 21 minutes and 58 seconds. Daniel is a, three-time ASICS Falmouth Road Race champion. Hi, Daniel. I remember the first time you showed up just as a young teen, and your mom came, I think it was from Maryland, I think you came in. And I remember you were very shy at the time, and then now you've just become one of the kings of the sport. What is it about the Falmouth Road Race which keeps bringing you back every year?
Yeah, it's just first of all, beautiful. I think it's just amazing to be out on the Cape at this time of year. But yeah, I think another thing is this was kind of where I got took racing to a kind of a next level at that time. I got introduced to a lot of other racers and learned from them. Racers like Craig, who taught me things about drafting, as well as Kriega, and that was one of the first times that I had ever. That was the first time I had ever seen somebody change their tire in their chair in under a minute, and so in that I think it's just kind of taught me about the community that is the wheelchair racing community.
It's a special community. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. Let's bring up one of our past champions on the running side, Diane Nikuria, a three-time Burundi Olympian, became a U.S. citizen in 2017. She was our 2015 champion. There's Diane, always the tallest among the athletes. Great to see you, Diane. Diane's now doing real estate as well, I understand, but she looks fit and ready to go. Diane, I know that 2015 Falmouth is one of its moniker has always been the Great American Road Race. I mean, you had to win Falmouth to be Road Runner of the Year. That was a big title back in the day. Winning Falmouth has to be one of the biggest wins of your career.
Yeah, of course. This race has always been really special for me, and I love coming back. And 2015 was a good surprise for me, and I was really happy to win. But yeah, the host family and the community. Shout out to the Green family, my brother Sam. Always love coming back and see familiar faces.
But you have started a new career as well as you're racing. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm a real estate agent. If you want to buy a house or sell a house in Arizona, call me. I'll leave you my card.
You can see her back at the end of the room at the end of the day. Diane, best of luck to you on Sunday.
Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you, Diane. I'm going to bring up a young man who was second at the ASICS Falmouth Road Race last year, third 2 weeks ago at the Beach to Beacon 10K Joni's race up in Cape Elizabeth, Maine. Bia Simbasa. Bia? The thing is, Bia, as everyone knows, Falmouth comes in late August, so everyone is kind of in form. Very few secrets out there. You can race one another throughout the circuit. How is Falmouth as an actual race course? It's not dead flat. There's flat sections, but there's hilly sections, and there's that big, sharp, little steep hill at the end. Talk about it from a race course standpoint.
I mean, I only remember the last, 800 meters to go and then make a move. So the course is very challenging and a fun course, and I'm excited to race this year, and yeah. It's a good course.
What do you got to do to take that extra step up on the podium this year?
Probably follow Ben again. No, it's a lot of good runners out there, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm just going to compete and see what I can do tomorrow.
Beautiful. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Bia Simbasa, everybody. Let me bring up another one of our legends. He was the 1979 champion, Craig Virgin, out of Lebanon, Illinois. He came back from the European track circuit the year before, and one of the great Falmouth races was Billy and Alberto and Mike Roach, who had won the Peachtree Road Race, and Craig coming back from Europe. It's just one of the great races. Billy won it, and Craig, I got third place in that race, but he came back in '79 and won the race and set the course record by 1 second, and then got second a couple of years later to Alberto. Craig, come on up here. I grew up in St. Louis, and Craig grew up about 30 miles east of me, and so every time I go home for Christmas, I'd go over and drive over to his place, and we go for a run and talk about stuff.
And Tony had just returned from the Honolulu Marathon, and so he would bring me a pineapple from Hawaii.
And it was cold in Lebanon.
A fresh pineapple.
It was cold in Lebanon in December, as I recall. Craig, you know, people used to come back. Rod Dixon did it. Mike McLeod, the silver medalist in, I think, 1980 at the Olympic Games, came back from the European track circuit to run the Falmouth Road Race.
Yes.
It's just not another road race.
No, and for me, to come back to Falmouth for the 50th edition, it's like a combination of homecoming and meeting my first love back in high school, because in '78, when I came here, I was exhausted after 2 months of racing in Europe, and Ben can relate to this. You get over there, you race for 2 months, and you're in hotels for 2 months. It was way too long. I just wanted to go home, and Nike said, could you stop by Boston on the way back to St. Louis and run this road race? I said, a road race? You're kidding me. What? Because when I grew up, road races had like 100 or less people in back in high school and college. And there was something to do in the off season, you know, the winter or the summer. You could at least get a timed effort and see your friends. And forget about beer or Coke or anything afterwards. You were lucky if you had Gatorade, okay? But I stopped by here. 3 days of American food and American hospitality revived me. And I went out, and of course, the race was faster or slower than the 5,000s I've been running in Europe. And I just hung in there with Bill Rogers, who's here, and Mike Roach, who had won. I was over in Europe, and I saw the Stars and Stripes newspaper, and it showed a picture of Mike Roach winning Peachtree.
July 4th.
And they said they had like 15,000 people. And I said, oh my God, my hometown is only 4,000. You had like almost 4 times the size of my hometown. Well, a month later, I'm back here racing against them, and I am lucky enough to finish 3rd that day. But what I saw afterwards impressed the heck out of me. And I saw 4,000 or 5,000 people. It was a combination of an athletic event, a high-quality athletic event, and a county fair. And they were given hot dogs and free beer to all the entrants. And then I looked over, and here's Bill Rogers on a little folding chair on an asphalt basketball court, signing autographs for an hour and a half. And there was a line of people that were waiting to get him to sign their race number. And I said, this is fantastic. What a country, you know? And I fell in love, and I said, I'm going to come back. I love this American road racing. If it's all like this, man, I'm going to jump in next year. And that's what I did. And so I came back the next year and won. And I ran on a Sunday, and you all don't know this, but I had to face a guy called Mirit Shifter on that Friday in Montreal at the World Cup.
We remember that race.
Yep. But Falmouth became, for me, my first exposure to the beauty of the American road racing scene, where you combined masses that ran and appreciated what you did and elites. And we were all in the same race. We all had the same starting line. We all had the same finish line. And we had beer with each other afterwards. And it was just a romantic situation. And then the environment sitting here on the Cape with the ocean, for a landlocked Midwesterner, it was love at first sight. And that's why I've come back as often as I did. And during the height of my career, Falmouth was one of those things that was automatically circled on my calendar. Okay?
Greg, a long way from the shores of the Mississippi River.
Right.
Great to
That's
see
all Tony and I had.
Great
Thank you
to
very
see
much, Tony. And thank you for all of you for coming back, and for some of the people, I look forward to visiting with you, because I haven't seen you for 10 years, okay?
Great seeing you, Craig. Craig Virgin, everybody. Let's bring up a recent champion, the 2019 champion. Boy, he's a road warrior. I mean, this guy, every week he seems to be out there on the roads, and some guys can handle that kind of load, but he also loves Falmouth. Not only the 2019 champion, he's been second 3 times, including last year. Twice he's been third, a 2016 Olympian, part of the WCAP, World Class Athletes Program for the U.S. Army, training out of Colorado Springs. This is Leonard Career. Leonard. One of Falmouth's favorites. Leonard, you were second at Beach to Beacon a couple of weeks ago, and here you are at Falmouth again. What's the difference? How's this course different than the Beach to Beacon or the Big 7 road race, which is 4 weeks ago in Davenport, Iowa?
I think it's almost the same as a rolling hills.
Rolling Hills.
Yeah,
And you were
same
telling
as-
me, I think, at Bix or Beach to Beacon that that's part of why you do so well. You love these rolling
Yeah,
hills.
it's more like cross country. I used to like cross country. Falmouth, I like it so much because of the spectators, everybody, people love running. So it's always a good feeling to come here and compete.
What's the hardest part of the course?
I would say almost all races are the same. And the only difference, I don't know, it's almost the same, I would say. So you can't complain. Yeah, but this is the best course.
It was, well, nice to hear. He didn't say that in Quad Cities or Beach to Beacon, so you'll be happy to hear that. I always hated the 5-mile mark around Falmouth Marine. You weren't close enough to smell the barn, but you've already done like a 5 miles, and that could be a breaking point. That was always very brutal, especially in hot, humid conditions. Well, Leonard, best of luck. We know you're probably going to be on the podium. All depends on what step it's going to be. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
We've got the show is going to be on NBC 10 this year. Back in the day, I think in 1994, when there was a baseball strike, the Falmouth Road Race was on CBS television. And then for years, it was on the Road Race of the Month on ESPN, and I was lucky enough to be able to host that. And that was a great show. And one of the people that got involved with the sport back then, I don't know if she ever ran Falmouth, but she's here to do television, is Dina Castor. Dina, come up and say hi. Oh, come on, Dina. Dina, you know, the longtime American record holder in the marathon, long time and still bronze medalist in the Olympic Games in 2004. Dina, did you ever run Falmouth?
I did in 2005.
How'd that
I
go?
too was on the European track circuit at the Helsinki World Championships and made a stop here in Falmouth on my way home to California.
How'd it go?
I don't remember, so not so good.
No, but Dean and I have been doing television for the Boston Marathon for the last several years, and so it's a great race. The fields are very deep. People always used to say to me, "You announce road races or you announce racing?" He says, "What do you say? They're just
You announce
running."
everything, Tony. You announce life.
They're just running. What do you say? That's what do baseball announcers say? They're just standing there. But the fields are so deep. There's tons to talk about with these fields, whether it's wheelchair, the women, men, or just the average runners going down the street.
Yeah, and just seeing the people that you're bringing up here, from Tatiana and Daniel and Billy and Frank. It is, Craig, it is such an honor to be in such company this weekend, but that's what this weekend is about. It's about greatness coming together, but not just on the performance side, in a community that just really showcases all it has with such shining colors. And it's a tribute to the beginning of all of this and the
dear
heart
man
that
himself.
goes behind it.
Absolutely. Well, the best of luck on the show.
Thank
I
you.
look forward
You
to
too.
seeing it
I'm going to keep throwing it to you, Tony.
out on the men's vehicle. It'll be a great race. Thanks, Dina. Joining Dina on the broadcast is an 8-time Falmouth Road Race champion in wheelchair division, Craig Blanchette. Craig, one of the great stars in the sport, one of the pioneers in many ways. I remember when we were starting doing television shows about wheelchair racing, this guy was one of the big studs in there. And the sport has grown so much, and the competition is good to see the young faces like Daniel come into the sport, because for a long time we were seeing with the introduction of the hand cranks with gears, it's much easier if you become injured to get into your chair. It's much easier to go from the hospital to a geared machine, and so we were losing a lot of the push rim people, and a lot of the old guys were still like winning races. So it's good to see the sport has got its new generation coming up.
Yeah, that's true. The hand cycle division, the main differences there is with wheelchairs, you've got gloves and hand rims, and you have to squeeze yourself into this tiny little place, and if it rains, and there's just all these variables with wheelchair racing. And there's a pureness to wheelchair racing. I call it poetry. It's like a poetic thing when you see someone in a wheelchair, especially Daniel with his ginormous arms. But in a hand cycle, you kind of sit in, you grab the handles, and you can just go. So it's much more accessible, if you will. And so that sport has grown quite a bit. And wheelchair racing, wheelchair road racing is definitely resurging. And Daniel's a big part of that, and what he's bringing, just that amazing excellence out of his performances.
He's like the new era Ernst van Dyke as far as being a big human being who can really power on those hills.
Yep, and if you're about 10 feet in front of you, he can reach up and he can tap you on the shoulder. So that's always nice.
Well, Craig, great seeing you. Have a great
Thank
show
you.
on Sunday.
Yeah.
Want to bring up the guy who led the race last year for much of it, a hard charger from Furman, a Furman grad. He ended up being fourth last year, but he's always somebody who makes the race honest. Frank Lara, is Frank with us? Frank knew who I was talking about. Frank shaved his mustache, so that's how he's going more anonymous this year. Hi, Frank. Nice
Hello.
to see you. So how's your summer been going?
Lovely. I spent a few weeks in Houston with my family. After the U.S. 10K championships, I kind of been gearing up for a marathon, so like this will be kind of my first comeback into racing. I'm really excited about it.
Well, you ran 2:11 at the Houston Marathon in January. I don't know if it's been announced where you're running in the fall.
Chicago.
Okay, so that's, but like Houston, that's a rhythm runner's course. This is not necessary. In the middle of the race is a rhythm runner's course. Why do you have a tendency to do so well? You did great at Bix last year. That's a hilly course. You did great at Falmouth. What is it about these, whether flat or hilly, you seem to do well?
I like climbs, and I think part of that is due to these little legs I have. But outside of that, I think the nice thing about Falmouth is you can kind of get over the climbs for a bit and then just kind of enjoy the scenery for, what's that word? Surf drive, thank you. So I'm looking forward to that, and I don't know if I'll lead as much this year. We'll see what happens.
You never know. Well,
yeah.
is racing more instinctual? I mean, you can go in with a plan, but the Kenyans always used to tell me, it's like your body tells you what to do. I mean, Frank said that, I think, at Munich in '72, is that why'd you decide to move at 15 kilometers, which is awfully early for a marathon? The moment announced itself, and you're smart enough to have your antenna up and you're paying attention. Racing is a lot of that, paying attention to what's going on around you.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I wish I'd been a little bit more attentive near the end last year. Because I think if I'd known Ben had his little plan going in his head, I would have been a little more prepared for it. And now the nice thing is we all know about it now.
You can't get away with it this year.
We all know exactly what he has planned, at least what he had planned last year. So
Right.
I'm really excited to get to that point and see what happens.
We look forward to watching you. Thanks, Frank. Best of luck to you.
Of course, thank you.
And we want to bring up a guy now who I just, kind of a late entrant, didn't realize it at the time, but he's another one of these University of Michigan grads, Wolverine, from the very nice track club. And the coach, Ron Warhurst, is here. And Coach Warhurst, of course, Coach Greg Meyer, back when Greg was at Michigan and before the Boston Marathon back in 1983. But Mason Furlick is an Olympian, a steeplechaser, but he did the double in 2019 here at Falmouth. He ran the mile, got sixth. The next day, he got fourth in the 7-miler. He's just doing the 7-miler this year. So if he doesn't finish higher than fourth, we're going to be extremely disappointed.
I should have fresh legs, right, on Sunday.
Well, it's a very unusual double. People who are doing middle distance are usually not distance guys, but steeplechasers have always been great road runners because it's a strength-based event.
Yeah, you got to find a rhythm over the barriers. I think it's very similar on the roads. You have, the hills, the changing of the course, and you have to be able to maintain a rhythm over the second half of the race. So I like my chances this year. Yeah, putting all the chips in the big money race and just run the 7-miler.
Well, give them hell.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mason. Yep. We'll bring up another legend. This is a woman, a 6-time champion, just sort of became the standard bearer, just like Frank did in 1972 and 1984. This young woman won the inaugural Olympic marathon for women in Los Angeles in 1984, and it thrilled all of us here in New England, of course. And then she's a 6-time champion here at the Falmouth Road Race and helped establish what great fields we can have. Is Joan Benoit Samuelson in the area. Joni? She's coming. She just had her race 2 weeks ago up in Cape Elizabeth, Maine. And that was the 24th annual, I believe, and it was another huge success. It was gone for a couple of years, and we really, really missed it. Joan, it must have been great to have everyone back up in Cape Elizabeth once again, and for you to see all your friends back here at Falmouth.
Well, thanks, Tony. It is, and it's great to be back here for the 50th. I've run more than half of those 50 races, and I must confess that when I had the idea of starting a race in my hometown of Cape Elizabeth, I modeled it a lot after the Falmouth Road Race along with the Beta Breakers race. So the B2B came from Beta Breakers, Beach to Beacon. I'd run a lot of miles between those two landmarks on the Cape Elizabeth, not across the bay here. But the homestay program is what really resonated with me. So to the whole community of Falmouth and to the host families, thank you for that gift. It's really made a difference for our race, and long may we both live as really important parts of our respective communities.
Joni, what was the favorite memory from Falmouth?
I don't know if it was the favorite memory, but there are a couple memories. My dad had a prep school roommate who lived in West Falmouth, so they would come with me, and it would be really a reunion. And they came for the first several years of the race, or my introduction to the race for those ensuing years. And so that was really special because they had a wonderful time down here. But what I remember most about the Falmouth Road Race was being brought from West Falmouth to Woods Hole, and I told our host, Ralph Weber, you know, Ralph, I don't feel like running today. Let's just go to the vineyard and enjoy the day. And he thought I was serious. And so we were almost in Oak Bluffs, and Scott said, this doesn't look like Woods Hole. I was down below. And he turned that boat on a dime and full throttle right into Woods Hole, and the press truck was getting ready to leave, and the late Todd Miller saw me climbing over the barbed wire to get to the starting line, and I made it just in the nick of time, but I'll never forget that.
Did you win the race?
I did win the race that year.
All's
I was
good.
running on pure adrenaline, pure adrenaline.
All's well that ends well. Thanks, Joan. Great to see you back.
Great to see you. And I have a little gift.
Okay.
You know, I'm not getting any younger, and our kids are petrified that we're going to leave this world and leave all of our belongings behind with them.
The word is crap.
So I have all of my Falmouth Road Race shirts to donate back to the road race.
Oh,
so
that's
do
wonderful.
with them what you may, but
Wow.
here they are.
All right from Joni.
The first one's 1981, so
Wow.
there aren't
Classics.
many missing years.
We might have to have you sign them and then auction them off. I mean, I'm just making stuff up
Anything
here.
for a charity or to improve the lives of others. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks, Joni. A young lady I want to acknowledge. I'm not sure if she speaks English, but she's the Ethiopian national champion this year at 5,000 meters. Then she went on and got the silver medal at the All Africa Championships at 5,000 meters, and she just won Joni's race 2 weeks ago at Beach Tobacco. Fentaya Balanya. Fentaya, are you here? Here comes Fentaya. I mean, watch out for this one, kids. We're going to, we'll just say welcome in Amharic, or just, I'm just her husband. Oh, you're just her husband? Well, you say something on behalf of the family.
All right.
What's your name?
I'm Elijah Switzer. We live right next to the starting line, so Fenty does not have to get on the bus. And she's wicked fast. Yesterday, it took a walk down to the bike path, and my wife figured out, she said she'd be back in 20 minutes. And I think she went to North Falmouth and back, but she was back in 20 minutes. So, yeah, she's a great kid, and looking forward to seeing her run tomorrow.
Ready to roll.
Sunday.
She's going to be dangerous, I can tell you, because I've watched her in the last couple of races she's run. You get second at the All-African Championships and win the Ethiopian national crown. You're really something. Now let's bring up our women's defending champion. One of the great, in many ways like Tatiana on the women's wheelchair, this is one of the great champions in the history of women's distance running. Two-time world champion. She's the former Boston champion, former London champion, former New York City Marathon champion, and the defending ASICS Falmouth Road Race champion, Edna Kipligon. Edna lives in Longmont, Colorado right now with her husband Gilbert and Carlos, son, and Wendy, daughter. You got, what was it, your last race you were fourth? Was it at Bix?
Yes.
At Bix, she was in fourth place as the defending champion. You got fourth in Boston this year, second last year. I mean, she's 42 years of age, and she's still just really going up against Fentaya and the other great women's athletes. How do you keep going at this age so strongly, Edna?
Yeah, I think it's because of running is my passion and I love it. So I treat it as as like my job. So I always try my best to do everything in the right way. So I focus.
Will you run a fall marathon this year?
Yes,
Do you know which one?
New York.
New York City. Well, she's won it in the past. I mean, she's won everything. I mean, she's just one of the greats. Well, it's great to see you as always, Edna, and the best of
Thanks.
luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Edna Kipligon, everybody. And I think I've gotten everyone except our defending men's champion, and rather than me yakking at you even more, I want to bring up Hannah Gelfie. Hannah, are you about? Is Hannah, come up here. Hannah's taken over the microphone duties and making our final introduction. Hi, Hannah.
Hello. Okay. I guess I'll have last year's champion, Ben Flanagan.
That's on you.
Oh, okay. Yes, Ben Flanagan. So I have a question for you. What is your favorite Falmouth memory? Think carefully.
Yeah, this is going to be up there. This is a surprise to me. For those who don't know, this is my fiance, Hannah, who I met in 2018, the first time I was here. And I know public speaking isn't her favorite, so this is probably one of my favorite memories right here. I'm happy to be up here with you.
Okay. I only have one question queued up.
That's it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. I'm excited to be back.
Let me ask him a racing question, Hannah.
Yeah, you asked.
Let me ask him a racing question. You've got a future, Hannah, but ain't it in this? Anyway, Ben, I was saying when we first saw you, you can always tell, I mean, people like Dave Mcgilvery and the people who have been around the sport such a long period of time, you can sort of look at somebody and say, oh, gosh, that guy is fit. Ben, you look fit. Now, the point is, this guy came into this race, NCAA champion at University of Michigan at 10,000 meters in a great close. He closed in the last 400 meters to win that title. It was a hell of a race. Well, he came to Falmouth in 2018 and won the race and had the best. There were 47 other champions before that, but nobody tried to hurdle the finish line tape. Even Mason Furlick didn't try to up the steeplechaser. The best finisher we've ever seen at Falmouth, the way he leaps over the tape. And then he came back and did it again in 2021. It reminded me of Dave Murphy. Remember Dave Murphy, Frank? Dave from England was an excellent runner, but he used to come to Falmouth, and they had Steve Jones and Rob DiCostella. I mean, the real killers. And Dave won it one year, and he came back and won it again. So it was no fluke. You winning last year, that's no fluke. Watch out for you. Why are you in such good shape right now?
I want to come back and win. So, this has been on my calendar all year. And, it's a big year with World Championships, which I didn't end up making. And, coming off an Olympics last year, which I also didn't make. There's been a lot to train for. And, I've fallen short of both those goals. But Falmouth being this time of year it's always been an opportunity to prove myself. And, this place means so much to me now. So, I'm feeling ready to go. The only thing I'm nervous about now is hearing Frank come up here and say, everyone knows what I'm doing out here on Sunday. So I'll be thinking about that going to bed on Saturday night. But fitness is in a good place, and I'm excited to go on Sunday.
And what a special connection now you've got for life here with Hannah and Falmouth and Scott, her dad. It's a wonderful connection.
Yeah, Falmouth has become a second home to me. So coming here every single year and learning more and more about the history and, being around the legends of Shorter, Rogers, Craig, Joni, everyone, and becoming friends with the competitors. I'll be seeing Herman on the dance floor on Sunday, I'm sure, too. So it's been amazing. I've made so many great friendships, and, this place has really been a second home to me, and I can't wait to spend more and more time here.
Have a great race on Sunday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bless your heart. Here we go. One more guy we have to bring up. I forgot about it. You just mentioned him. Herman Garrick. I forgot to bring up Herman. Herman, come on up here. He's our defending wheelchair champion. Hi, Herman. I apologize. We talked for about 15 minutes before we did it, and then we do through the whole thing, and I forget you. I'm sorry about that.
No, he spent too much time with me. Don't want to see me again.
No, Herman, you're in good form, but Daniel's a handful.
He is definitely quite a wingspan of hands and things going on there, but looking forward to chasing him on Sunday. Either way.
Well, where did you win the race last year?
So it was between James and I.
James and Betta.
Yeah, James and Betta. The first couple of miles, going back and forth. I was just actually talking to Craig about that. My heart rate was super elevated right at the start as I was warming up, and I didn't think that was going to be a fun race for me. And it sure wasn't, because after James caught me at around mile 2 and we were going back and forth, I was kind of thinking in my head, man, I'm already maxing out, just give up. Just thinking that. But after like Surf Drive, that was in the bag for me. I just kind of continued pushing through, the heart rate being elevated and stuff, and I took it there. But usually for me, the wins and the podiums come right at that last hill, because a lot of the people just kind of take it out of themselves and beat themselves up the first half of the course, and I just buy my time and wait for that hill and just start sprinting at the end there, because I'm a climber.
It's not long, but it's a little brute.
Yes, it is, definitely.
Chance to play, if you get near, it's a chance to make a move.
It is, for sure. I mean, for climbers, for sure. For anybody else, it's miserable, but hey, we all have strengths and
Once again,
weaknesses.
Herman's coming off a victory 2 weeks ago at Joni's race at Beach to Beacon, and wish you best of luck on Sunday. Thanks, Herman.
Thank you, Tony.
Appreciate it. Let me bring up our executive director, Jennifer Edwards, the birthday girl. Once again, give her another hand. You only come once a year. How'd you plan this? The 50th Falmouth and your birthday, how'd you plan this?
There is no place I would rather be than with all of you celebrating my birthday. So thank you for being here. So I just wanted to come up and just, again, this is the 50th, and so to celebrate the 50th running with, elites and all of the legends and the staff and the volunteers, and we have so many amazing people in this room. I'm looking around the room and I'm blown away with the faces looking back at me. It's amazing. So to celebrate our history, we have a 50 Years of Falmouth booth over here that I hope you all take some time and look at. There's tons and tons of memorabilia in there, familiar faces, the people who built this race, who made it what it is today. And what I want to do, my piece in this, is to celebrate the very first race. 1973, we have our first champions, so I want to bring up Jenny Tuthill and Dave Duba. I've been looking at pictures of them for years, and to have them here in person is amazing. And so what I would like to do is first ask you, what's your favorite part about Falmouth, or what do you love about Falmouth Road Race?
Well, there's the past and there's the present. Right now, I'm really glad that we're all here, but this is a race of caring. And over 50 years, I still feel it. The first year, John had the foresight to invite people. First time us small women in New England got invited to anything. But you have kept that caring going all these years. We all can feel it as we come to town, as we're here today, and that grace is really special, and we all feel it. The course hasn't changed. As we look around the room, many of us have, but we're all here, and I'm so happy to see the young, fabulous runners, and that people like Dave and I are still standing, and appreciate your care.
Thank you. And then Dave Duba making his way out here from Michigan with his friend John Schultz. They came that very first year together. There's this amazing photo of the two of them standing in front of an old milk truck. So we saw that in the office, and I sent a note and I said, could you just recreate this for us? Because this is fantastic. So we'll have to share that one later, because he did do that. So what I would like to do, of course, is give you an opportunity to share what you love most about Falmouth Road Race, your favorite memory.
Actually, the first race, I remember so much of it, but it's more the after party that I remember with Tommy Leonard. And he was just a larger-than-life person. And mostly from the first run, I remember that. And it was a B&B, too, bar to bar, so.
At the end of the day, it's a fundraiser, but it's also a party. So before you leave, Jenny and Dave, not done with you yet, I would like to invite our retired co-director, Lucia Carroll, who is here on behalf of the 4 race directors, and she's going to present you with your bibs from this year. So Dave, you get number 1973. And as a little bit of a throwback, we brought the F number, the female 1973. So can you stand together and we'll get a shot of that. Another round for our first champions and Lucia Carroll, co-director, 38 years. Now I'd like to bring up Dave Mcgilvery, the man who needs no introduction, but he has been amazing as our race director now for, I think we're 11 years, 12 years. The Dimsey team has elevated this event and made it what it is today. It's professional, it's fun, it's fantastic. And so Dave's gonna say a few words and here you go, thanks.
Thank you. So I've always felt that the genius is seeing it in the seed. Somebody saw this before it even happened. Tommy Leonard, the Shermans, the Carrolls. And it's one thing to have an idea. It's another thing to make it reality. And to be quite honest with you, that takes courage. That takes guts to create something like this. So I've always felt, too, that even though I'm the race director of Boston Marathon and a lot of other events, and here, like I said the other night, I'm just a caretaker. It was here way before I was involved, and it'll be here way after we're all gone. And we're just taking care of it for a while. And that's an honor. That's a privilege. I want to thank my DMSE sports team, Matt West, and all the other DMSE people. They work really hard. I mean, we put on a lot of races, usually 30, 35 events a year all over the country. We had the TD Beach to Beacon a couple of weeks ago, Run to Home Base the week before, and the list goes on. But this one's special, given everybody in this room. So just from my team to all of you, I don't take this for granted. Thank you for giving us the privilege and the honor to be able to be involved and help make this thing happen. Because people say to me all the time, "You're a race director?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "What do they do? Chalk mark in the road, yell go?" And now when people ask me what do I do for a living, I say, we help thousands, tens of thousands of people in terms of raising their level of self-confidence and self-esteem. And that's what this does. When people cross the finish line of this race, magic happens. They go home feeling good about themselves. There's nothing more powerful in this world than to feel good about yourself, because it's the foundation by which we accomplish everything in our lives. That's what you do. It's more than a road race. Just think about what you all are doing. The elite athletes, inspiring so many, the age group athletes, the charity runners. Look at the money raised, $5 million plus, given back to the community, the economic impact. This is more than a road race. Thanks for the privilege of being involved.
And thank you.